What's up guys, Woody here, back with another new to Mythgard video. Now before we get into the meat of this video, a big apologies from me for the lack of content from me recently. For those who don't know, my internet was completely kaput, it was down, it was wiped out for like 2.5 weeks, so that's why I hadn't had any content, I haven't been streaming. I'm finally back streaming. I streamed last night. It was great to get back to streaming. And I can now get back to content creating as well. And this is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while, but with a dodgy internet, it's not been able to happen. So what we're going to go on to now is we're looking at 5 decks that new players can climb up to, or can climb ladder with. What I mean by climb the ladder with, you're not going to take these decks to Mythic League or Mythril League. You're not going to take these decks to Champions League. But these will definitely help you climb up to probably high silver, maybe even gold, some of them. Now, I have 5 different decks here. They all contrast from one another. They all offer different playstyles. They sit around between 10,000 and 12,000 essence. Most of them you have 2 mythics, some have 1 mythic. The reason I've started adding mythics into my budget decks now is because the faction challenges are a thing. And also, there's earning mythics is a lot more feasible now than it was when the game first launched. You're getting mythics at a bit of a quicker rate. But yeah, that's what we're going to do in this video. There will be timestamps below, so I'll go through in a minute what decks we are running through. And there's timestamps in the description for the said decks, guys. So if you're like, I don't want to look at all 5 decks, or what decks is Woody talking about, then jump below. The way it's going to work is we're going to jump in. I'm going to take you through all the cards in the deck, take you through key cards in the deck, take you through potential upgrades for that deck, and then we're going to go into a gameplay. Now, the gameplay is only going to be against AI. That's for 2 reasons. One, I don't want to take this onto ladder because these decks aren't fully optimized for the standard that I'm playing at. But also, that these, if I play against human opponents, some of those matches can go on for 25, 30 minutes, especially when I'm playing control decks. Like, I don't want this video to be 2.5 hours long. We're going through 5 decks. So I'm going to play against AI bots, basically. Try to keep the video around about an hour long, maybe just over an hour. So if anyone does want to watch the whole lot, it's going to be a lot easier to digest rather than 2.5 hours of just Woody moaning, not moaning, but talking and all that jazz. But you know what I mean? I'm starting to go off on a spiel here. But anyway, so the decks we're going through, guys, is we're going for a red-blue enchantment deck. Surprise, surprise, it's very strong at the moment, and it's pretty damn cheap. We are going through a mono-red rush deck. It's always been popular with newer players because it's super cheap and super strong. We're going through a yellow-blue control deck. We are going through a Valkyrie, mono Valkyrie blue list, and we are going through a purple mid-range list. So the yellow-blue control is not fully optimized because it's hard to do that on a budget, but I wanted to offer something out there for the control players. The Valkyrie list is like a mid-range aggro. It can be quite burny, but you're mostly looking at kind of getting them out to like turn 6, maybe turn 7 and winning by then. You don't want to go be much further than that because you don't have a massive late game. And then your orange-purple is a very unique kind of deck because you're playing around with some of Purple's unique mechanics, spell cards, and stuff like that. But anyway, the timings, timestamps for those decks, or when you can jump to them, is in the description below. But let's jump over now and go straight into our first deck, which is going to be budget red-blue enchantment. So, surprise, surprise, we're running Rainbow's End as our pathway. Okay, now we don't actually. It used to be a case of you ran 10 enchantments to run Rainbow's End because the way it balanced out. You kind of get away with slightly less now because on Pursuit you get Leprechaun's Coin, which gives you 1 temporary mana, which is insanely strong. So yeah, I think in this deck we are running. Well, it says here we're running 9 enchantments, so it's not too bad. Okay, we're close to that 10 there to get the 1 in 4 draw, but. And then we're running Infuse. This deck here is quite an aggressive deck. You have a lot of rush minions. Playing them onto stuff like Speedway can get... I mean, with Infuse, on turn 5, 6, you can be doing like 6 damage to the face with a rush minion, which is nuts. So that's why we're running Infuse here. So, going through the cards, and then we'll go through key cards and upgrades. So, 2 Karen Henge, 3 Demolition Speedway, 4 Fane, 3 Worms. We're running 1 Black and Jotun, just to kind of stop our mid-game plateauing out pretty early. 2 Giant Stairways and 1 Magnus Forsen. Moving on to red cards, we have 4 Pups. We have 4 Trapezists. We have 2 Prodigies. We have 2 Hecate's Wheels. We have 4 Iron Belly Wyverns, 3 Panic Raiders, Oak of Dodona. We have 2 Wings of Abaddon, and 2 Magmatar. So, the deck, guys, here is very simple. Now, I've been critical of this deck in streams and annoyed some people. I don't mean to annoy people when I talk about this deck. My honest opinion of this deck is it is a very brain dead deck. Now, please don't take that as an insult for playing it. I've played this deck on ladder and I've climbed this deck on ladder, so I'm effectively calling myself brain dead by saying that. What I mean by that statement is there is very little thinking that goes on with this deck. But that's the sign it's a solid deck. It's a good deck because it kind of pilots itself and it's very, very strong. It wins games. There are people playing, not this exact deck, but iterations of this deck. And honestly, only 1 or 2 cards away from this deck in Mithril. Like, people are still playing it in Mithril. That's how good this deck is, guys. The actual fully optimized version of it is like 16,000 essence. This version here is 11,000 essence. You're only really, like I said, 2 or 3 cards away from having the fully optimized version of this deck. And this can carry you to Mithril at the moment, the way the meta is sat. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your enchantments, mostly your carrying henges and your demolition speedways, wide. You're only playing them wide or playing them away from your opponent because you have a very fast early game. Playing demolition speedway on turn 2 to then on turn 3 drop a pup down somewhere and a trapezist. Putting a trapezist turn 3 or even a wyvern, an iron belly wyvern onto demolition speedway turn 3 on curve will mean that you're doing 4 to 5 damage to the face on turn 3, like unanswered normally because it's rush, so you can play around your opponent's minion placement, which is nuts. Going into turn 4 where you can have an 8/6 sat on the board on curve turn 4 on a demolition speedway. You're like, and then you can start playing your rush minions around that. An 8/6 is going to require your opponent to deal with that. They're going to have to get there. That's going to require attention. While they're dealing with that, you can throw your Panic Raiders, your Wyverns out wide around them, pinging them to the face all the time, drawing cards off Panic Raider. Oku Dodona is there for mid-game consistency with the Divination 3, drawing cards. Wings of Abaddon is best in this deck. It's good. It's a good finisher in terms of you need to do 4 damage to the face, play it, swing 4 damage to the face. It's also seen as good spot removal. If you, let's say, you're up to 6 mana and you need lethal, then you could easily, and they've got the board covered, you can play Wings of Abaddon to remove a minion for 4 damage. Let's say that's opposite a Demolition Speedway. You can then play Trapezists on Demolition Speedway, get the 4 damage to the face. Like it's just a very strong. And Magmatar's just there to clear out lanes. Just clearly there to play it somewhere, remove minions, and open up lanes to get damage to the face. It's quite an aggressive deck. I don't find it a very fun deck to play, but it's a solid deck to play. So going into upgrades. Upgrades in this deck, guys. The first upgrades I would make for this deck are, there's 2 cards. The first one I would go with is Bragi Runesinger. This guy right here. He's a Mithril, so he's going to be costing you 2,400 essence, or he's going to be costing you one of your wild cards if you have a wild card. But he's warded. The big thing with Bragi is his consistency with card draw. So it doesn't actually give you card draw. You add a charge to him, but by doing that, you get to draw a card from your deck. You get to look at that card, see what it is, and then you can choose any card in your hand and put it back. He's very good at making sure you get the card you need. He's also effectively thinning your deck out, so then if you do have enchantments on top, Rainbow's End is going to pop them into your hand at the end of the turn. Also, giving a minion Frenzy is a very aggressive, proactive play, and that kind of sits in very well with this deck. The other card I would recommend, which is a little bit different to play and can take a little bit getting used to if you haven't ever played it. It's a card I don't actually own, and I only found out the other day I don't own it, is Stairway to Hades. When an occupying non-demon minion dies, returns to play, it is now a demon and gets Frenzy permanently. If anyone watched Moonlight Masquerade, Caveras won the quarterfinals with an incredible play using Stairway to Hades. It's a very, very strong card in this deck. Also, you have more chance of drawing it purely with the Rainbow's End. If it's on top of your deck, it's going into your hand and play. If this makes your late game incredibly strong. So it's or mid to late game incredibly strong. That's the upgrades I'd recommend: Stairway to Hades and Bragi Runesinger. Now let's jump across, guys, to a game against AI and see how this deck runs. Okay, we are playing Chili Blaines, which is obviously just an AI bot. But yeah, so opening hand here is okay. We've got an enchantment to kick us off with. We've got Fane as turn 2, or we've got Trapeze as turn 2 play, which is going to be 3 damage to the face off carrying a henge. Giant Stairway is a lot more mid to late game play, so we're going to burn this. And we're going to play this quite wide. I'm going to play this over here. And should force my opponent into making decisions. Obviously, I know it's an AI bot, but I will refer to them as if they're an actual person because new players to the game might find it easier if I actually talk through my actions a little bit more. Okay, so we've got Pup or we got this. So what we're going to do is we're going to burn the Magmatar for now because we're still 3 gems away from playing it. And now we can play the Daring Trapezist onto Karen Henge and we can swing straight away for 3 damage to the face. This is what I mean by this deck. It can start getting damage out very, very quickly. We can always move this across if we need to next turn and we can play Feign. I doubt we'd do that. I think we'll just play Feign somewhere along here. So playing Fire Eater now, and they're going to probably ping this over here, or they're going to ping us to the face. Gotta remember we are playing AI. They don't always make the best decisions. I'm actually going to burn Pup and play Feign just here, because Feign now, with Infuse next turn, can actually remove Chilly Blains. Not Chilly Blains, that's the can remove Fire Eater, is what I should say. Fire Eater is also very good in this deck. It's red-blue, it's red-blue. It works well in this deck as well, so... I've realised one mistake I've actually made with this is I haven't put in... yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to trade this here. Oh, they played didn't they? There you go. Deal 3 damage to the opposing 3 lanes. That's absolutely fine. We'll play Panic Raider over here. I'm going to trade this into there because it's fragile. And we'll swing Panic Raider to the face. And we get to draw a card off this as well. One card I think I've actually messed up with here is we didn't play any Brainstorms, which is actually bad from my part. Brainstorms are the cards that allow you to draw cards for your or a Chorus Feast. This deck needs card draw. That's why this card is so important. That's a good play by them. Just going to remove that, but it's not going to remove you. What we can play now is we can actually burn Pup again, and we can play Wings here, and we have big damage to the face here. That's what I mean. The enchantments are basically overloading your rush minions there. They're making your rush minions even more threatening. That's basically what you're doing here. They can play Thunderclap again. Understandable. Okay, Wyvern is a great card now. Realistically, we're not going to be playing Oak this game. So we're going to be burning Oak right now. We can play Wyvern over here. We can play Firestorm Prodigy over here. Firestorm Prodigy opens up, gives us an Ignition in hand. I mean, if they play anything over here next turn, we can potentially remove it with Ignition. Or, if this can get through, we can potentially Ignition to the face to get lethal. A Fire Eater. Okay, we draw a blue card. We have lethal, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't draw a blue card, which is kind of frustrating. Yeah, so it's fine. We can remove this because it's what we would do. We play this middle to cover middle lane. We're going to ping that there, and we don't actually... I mean, I misplayed there. What I should have done was I should have infused this minion and it would have got down to 3 health. It doesn't matter too much. They've got 3 cards in hand. They can play something somewhere. They've played both of their Thunderclaps. And I'm going to ping through to the face. There we go, and we have lethal, ladies and gentlemen. There we go, ping to the face, and done there. What we're actually going to do is we're going to go back to this deck quickly, because I want to check, and we didn't put Brainstorm in, so that's my fault, building this deck. It was an oversight from me that I just realised when playing how quickly you burn through your hand with this deck. But anyway, 2 seconds, I'll be right back. Okay, so we are back, but yes, we don't have any card draw. There's 2 card draw options we have here. We have Brainstorm, which is this card here. Draw 2 cards for 2 blue gems. And we have Ikora's Feast. Ikora's Feast is a 3-drop card, which down here there is. The issue with Ikora's Feast is 3-drop and it's 3 red gems, which we did have that game, but playing a duo-colored deck isn't always best to be running the 3 gems. So we're going to go for the Brainstorm. We are drawing 3 cards off Ikora's Feast. Do you know, actually, we go for 1 of each. We're going to lose a Pup. And we're going to lose a Worm. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 Feast in the deck. If I can find them now. They are... I could just type it in. It'll be a lot easier to do, wouldn't it? There you go. Feast. And we're going to run 1 Brainstorm. Now, I won't replay the game. But as you saw, my hand disappeared pretty quickly. Which can be... That can lose you games in Mythgard if you have no hand. They're obviously going to lose. They've got more decisions to make than you have because they have more options with their cards. That's not very good for you. So having these 2 cards is really going to help us keep our card draw up there. But you've got an idea of how the deck ran. It's quite aggressive, but having cards swing to the face off your enchantments is basically the aim of the game. Anyway, let's move on to deck number 2, which is mono red. Okay, so we're back with some mono red action, people. This deck is a deck I actually used in the alpha to climb all the way to mid-silver. It's very... this is slightly more expensive. You can run this on a real... Oh, I say it's slightly more expensive. No, this is really cheap. This is 6,400 essence, people. Like, this deck, you should be able to craft within playing 2 or 3 days. Like, it's crazy cheap, this deck. It doesn't even run any mythics, okay? But we'll go on to upgrades that you can play in a minute or at the end of going through the cards. So, cards we're running here, guys, is 2 Hysterical Strengths, 3 Ignitions, 4 Iron Flesh Performers, 4 Stigori Pups, 4 Trapezists, 2 Firesong Prodigies, 2 Crimson Packs, 3 Frecky Huntress, 3 Icor's Feast, 4 Iron Belly Wyverns, 3 Panic Raiders, 2 Cyclopean Giant, 2 Wings of Abaddon, and 2 Magmatar. So this is mostly a rush deck. Now, to make it an all-out rush deck, you can sprinkle in some purple. I want to keep this just a mono red deck. So it is a very aggressive deck. It's potentially more... It's about on the same aggressiveness as you would have with the enchantments. Because you're playing rush minions, the difference here is you don't have the enchantments buffing you like you did in the last deck. Instead, you have a bit more substantial kind of card draw and mid-game. So, big cards here. You should be finding a 1-drop, how many we're running, okay? Hysterical Strength is purely there. Like, basically on turn 2 with Hysterical Strength, if you're lucky, and they haven't played a minion, you can play, like, so you can have Pop Out, this is a 2-1. You put Hysterical Strength with it, it's now a 4-3. That's doing 4 damage to the face and getting you 4 life tap. You can play that on turn 2 if you manage to draw Hysterical Strength, okay? Daring Trapezists. Hysterical Strength is just there as it can help you go for lethal, it can help you get the overrun if there's an overrun available, or it can help you get the life tap of something if there's a life tap available, or it can just help strap with spot removal. Let's say they've got a 6-6 on the board, you put Hysterical Strength down onto Frecky Huntress, infuse it as well, bang, there you go, okay? You can remove minions quite easily with that. Ignitions, your spot removal. Your rush minions like your Trapezists, your Wyverns, and your Panic Raiders. Obviously, Panic Raiders card draw. Your Wyverns and your Trapezists are just there to put pressure on. A big mid-game card is Frecky Huntress. Playing her on curve, as in on turn 3, is really important. Turn 3 or turn 4, because otherwise you can get overwhelmed. Now, the way Alpha Strike works is if you do 2 damage and it's going to kill them, then she transforms into Awakened Huntress. Awoken Huntress is nutsly strong, guys. Like, if she can get out of hand, 4 damage of Alpha Strike, okay? You start putting, if you need to, put your Hysterical Strength on Frecky Huntress to get the conversion to Awoken Huntress. Awaken Huntress is very strong. She has life tap, the Alpha Strike. You can start putting all sorts on her. She can get out of hand. She can be a big threat that they can't deal with. They need to be having something with more than 4 health to survive. You start putting Fuse on her, they now need something with more than 5 health for her not to take any damage. Like, she's very, very, very strong. With the life tap as well, she get out of hand. This card, turn 3, turn 4, if you can play her. She's super, super good. And then you're, like, Magmatar. This game, where this deck struggles is it doesn't have a late game. There is almost no late game to this deck. Your late game is probably your Awakened Huntress, okay? You don't win by turn 6, maybe turn 7. With this deck, you're going to really struggle to win. So you want to be aggressive. You want to be playing wide. You want to be just swinging to the face. You're trying to dictate where your opponent's playing cards. You're playing wide. You're forcing them to play in front of you. You're forcing them to stop you doing damage to the face. That's kind of what you're asking them to do, okay? Wings of Abaddon with the overrun. You can turn 5. You can play Wings. Put your Hysterical Strength on it. It's now doing 6 damage with 3 health, so it potentially survives as well. It's got the overrun. It's very strong. So yeah, this card here is super good. Same as Cyclopean Giant. 5 focus. So if this swings in the lane opposite you and it's got a clean swing to face, it's doing 5 damage. Sorry, 7 damage. Put Hysterical Strength on it. It's doing 9 damage, guys. 9 damage on turn 5. You can do 9 damage to the face. Potentially, if you have the cards in there and you have an open gap to the face. But cheap deck, very, very cheap deck. Infuse is there purely because it's a rush deck and purely because with some of the life tap minions and the Alpha Strike minions, Infuse can be very important. Again, because we're running lots of low minions, you can see, we are running Journey of Souls. So, let's jump into some gameplay with the mono red budget list. Okay. Mono red budget, here we go. The lesson begins, a Shadow Master calls out. Scared. Sort our cards out. Okay, so there you go. So you can see we've already got a pretty nice curve going on here. We have Stagori Pup opening. Firesong Prodigies here. We have 2 Wyverns, so we're going to burn a Wyvern to be able to play Firesong, to play Pup. Like I said, we're playing wide. We're kind of dictating where our opponent's going to play the cards next. So I'm going to play over here or over here, and then they're going to be going, well, if they play middle, well, fine. We just do the 2. It's effectively a swing of 4 because of 2 life tap, which makes it incredibly strong. Now we're going to burn the Pup because we're going to be playing on curve, meaning we can play Trapezists. We're now already doing 4 damage to the face, and we've got a life tap there. So we've already got a lead of 5 health, of 5 points basically, or 5 health, whatever you want to call it, going into turn 3. We have Rush Minions turn 3. We have an Icori's Feast, so I don't actually need to be playing Panic Raider straight off the bat. I can trade this in here, do the 2 damage, get the life tap. Grandma's House, Minion, Grand Lane, Stealth, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. So we're going to trade this into here. We can now burn 1 Icora Feast because we have them in hand. We can now play Wyvern nice and wide away from this here. And we're getting another 5 damage to the face. Like, we're now up by 12 after 3 turns. Like, we're going to play Cyclopean Giant over here next. That's 7 damage to the face. So they don't answer with it. We don't necessarily need the card draw yet. We're drawing back a card next turn because we have 3 souls here. So we're getting Pup back next turn. It's a perfectly good burn target because he hasn't been burned yet. So there we go. We've got cards back there. Okay, we're going to burn Pup here. We're going to play Cyclopean Giant over here. We're going to swing to the face and we're going to swing to the face here. And we potentially have lethal next turn with Hysterical Strength and Panic Raider. There's a chance we may have lethal next turn. And we're going into turn 5. So, okay, that's a good play by them over there. But they've left this over here, which means we definitely have lethal over here. We don't even need to play Hysterical Strength. And we can swing 1 here and we can swing 1 here. And that is game, people. That is game. That's how mono red works. Bang. That's simple as that. Simple as that. Obviously, I know this is AI, so take it with a pinch of salt. But you can get the idea of playing wide. We always have the tempo on them in terms of damage to the face. They want to play around like over here on us. Do it. This is 7 damage to the face on turn 4. We could have got 9 damage to the face if we needed. We could have done 11 damage that turn. So, yeah. That's mono red. Okay, guys. So, moving on to our next budget deck, which is Yellow Blue Control. Now, this deck does... it does miss some key cards, which I'll go through upgrades at the end of this deck, at the end of this list here. So this one is a bit more expensive deck if you want to make it sing properly on ladder. But in terms of flying through bronze, the cards here, the fact that it's costing 11,000 isn't going to make a big difference. You're gonna do very well with this on bronze and silver, running it the way it is now. So cards we've got here: Demolition Speedway, 3 Demolition Speedway, 4 Feign, 2 Ice Spike, 1 Fosgrim, 2 Thunderclap, 2 Valkyrie Enforcers, 2 Blackened Jotun, 1 Magnus Forsen, 1 Hyperborean, 3 Maze, 3 Yahui, 4 Meso Libre, 1 Poxbringer, 2 Vicious Cycle, 1 Wonder Drug, 2 Misanthropia, 1 Revelations of Eximic. I probably said that completely wrong. 2 Harvesters, Sapo, and 2 Bulwarks, okay? So we're running 2 Mythics here, guys. We're running Sapo, and we're running Magnus. These are pretty important Mythics in this deck, okay? There are other Mythics that we're missing. There's actually a lot of Mythics we're missing, but I'll go through why they're so important. Sapo, if you don't know, destroy an enemy minion in the opposing lane and friendly minions in the adjacent lanes. This is straight up spot removal. You get 2/2 for each minion destroyed. So you place this, it straight up destroys an opposing minion. Remember, it doesn't go against warded. So it spot removals a minion on the opponent's side. It comes out at 8/8 and it is warded itself. It's insanely, insanely strong. It's such a strong mythic. It's one I would definitely recommend crafting. If you want to be playing yellow, it's a card I would say go craft this like now. Just go do it. Okay, and the other one is by far the best mythic one of the best mythics in the game. Definitely the best blue mythic in the game. It's Thunderclap with a body. It's Thunderclap for 1 extra mana with a 4/4 body attached. Deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. It doesn't do 2 damage to the face, but it does 2 damage to all enemy minions. It's super strong. It's super good. If you just have one mythic wildcard that is blue, craft this now. Don't just pause the video. Go craft this card now. It's super, super strong. And it's played in almost any blue deck you play. You're probably going to play Magnus. Hyperborean is in there to give us a bit more substance late game. It has overrun anyway, but you put Hyperborean on something like Demolition Speedway. It's now coming out an 8/8 on turn 6. Sapo on Speedway is nuts because it comes out at a 10/8 and it has overrun. Yep, you heard me right there. 10/8 overrun. Harvester is a very good card. That's why I saw 2 of them for a control deck. You're gaining 3 life when you play it, and you're getting to draw a card when it dies, okay? The only other card draw we have here is Revelations, which is it's a great card draw. It's expensive, but it's a great card draw, and I'll get on to why they're expensive in a minute. Also, you have Maze as well, okay? Idea turn 1 plays, you want to be finding Maze, get a Maze on the board as early as possible to get your card draw. Vicious Cycle is spot removal. Wonder Drug is a great way of keeping you alive. You can draw cards with it, it can get you 7 health. It's a very, very good card. Misanthropia is just a brilliant control card. It just removes the whole board. Remember, it works on your side as well, people. And Bulwark is amazing. This card here that gives 0+2 and armor 1 to cards. Putting this on Thane is an absolute pain in the ass. Thane is now a 2/5 with armor 1. Every time a minion dies, he fully heals. It's very infuriating. Then add into the fact that he's on something like Speedway. He's now a 4/5 with armor 1. He's just really frustrating. And then a card you may not have seen much in the game, especially if you're new, is Fosgrim, which when you play it allows you to all your friendly minions have a move action, meaning you can move them left or right. If any minions, I don't think there are in this deck, have teleport, then they get a free teleport action as well. Now, that's the deck. It's the upgrades for it are there's a lot. Upgrades for it is Braggy Rune Singer, the card I mentioned earlier, is a card I would definitely be putting into this deck for consistency of card draw. For the Frenzy, it's just a very good card. Yeah, it's definitely one I'll be putting in there. Another blue I would be putting in there is potentially this. It is controlling, but it's also a pain in the ass to deal with, and it is an enchantment if you find it, and that is Odin Throne. When Odin Throne's played against me, I find it infuriating. I'm not going to lie. Odin Throne basically gives a minion +1 attack, -2 health, but you have Alpha Strike. The way that would work is playing a Hyperborean. Hyperborean would have 6 health, but would have 7 attack. But if he kills a minion opposite, if the minion opposite has 7 or less health, Hyperborean never takes damage. So it's a very late game on something like Hyperborean, or even on something like Magnus going to 5 damage, or Black and Jotun. All these that have overrun anyway. It's a disgusting card. You can get very, very powerful. Odin Throne is a potential. It's not a must. I would always put Braggy in over Odin Throne, but it's entirely up to you. And going on to yellows, to make it more control heavy, Orbital Jamming Satellite is very good. Two charges. You get a charge in at the beginning of each turn, and spend 2 to suppress a unit until your next turn. Suppress means it nullifies all abilities, okay? Health stays the same, but it just nullifies all abilities. Any text on the card is basically wiped. It's just say it's say it's a Yahui. it still comes out at a 2/3. However, it can take as much damage as you want because it hasn't got the text on the card. And the last one that I would recommend to pop in there are the twins. Twins, if you play both twins, they're kind of nuts. They're very, very strong. And they're a threat. The biggest thing is if people deal with them straight away, they're a threat. People have to deal with them. If they don't deal with them straight away, these things can get out of hand. But yeah, that's yellow-blue control. Let's jump into some gameplay. Okay, the chore, sorry, not choir. Can't read. Right, so this deck here is a lot slower when it comes to gameplay in terms of we want to be getting to turn 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's where we start thriving. Having the mana, having the big pools of mana to start doing stuff is where we start thriving. I want to be playing probably speed, probably Yahui next actually. I feel like I can probably burn Harvester here because it's a 6-drop card. And then we're going to end turn there. So the only card we have here that could be a turn 1 play for us is Maze. So we're not really looking at having a super strong early game. If we can stall them out, if we can stall out our opponent and get to turn 7, 8, then we can really start ramping up the pressure. So we can now burn this. And we can actually play Yahui over here. We don't worry about taking 1 damage, it's fine. Yes, so the 1 damage isn't going to bother us, so that's why we didn't play opposite. A lot of people go, oh, I want to protect. Why? There's no point protecting. Yahui's better against minions that are bigger because he can only take 2 damage. So that's why it's a lot better there. Okay, so we're going to probably play Meso Libre next, just here. Or we could actually... we're going to play Fosgrim. We're going to burn Fosgrim. And we're going to play... Yeah, we're going to play Meso Libre. No, we're not. We're going to play Demolition Speedway right here. And we're going to swing to the face. Remove that, and it'll get the overrun as well. That's what we're going to do. Decisions there. Decisions, eh? I was trying to decide. Boxbringer's better on a bigger target. You want to be playing that on a sign that's a lot bigger that will tick down a threat that you can't deal with. Meso Libre is also a threat you probably can't deal with. Vicious Cycle's obviously a threat, a bigger threat. And Thunderclap, potentially next turn, is going to be great because it's not going to remove this, but it's going to refute. Okay, Fane's pretty good over here. We need to burn a blue, ideally. We're going to burn Thunderclap because we want to balance out our blue gems. We don't want to get them screwed over later on with our lack of blue gems. And we're going to play Fane. Just... here. Swing to the face. And that'll do. That'll do. Like I said, we're kind of stalling. We don't mind taking a 1 damage. We're just stalling them out for now, okay? Having something die next turn potentially will fully heal Fane. So they trade into Fane now, then they'll both be on 1 health. But we can potentially remove something next turn. Orange's card draw is just too good. Too good. Okay, Wonder Drog's a nice card. So, playing this through here. Removes this, puts 1 damage to the face. Fully heals Fane. The issue now being Fane would still die because the winter. Yeah. Which is a little irritating. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we're gonna play the Poxbringer actually instead. And we have Vicious Cycle for big removal. Trade that in there and we get 3 damage to the face. And we should really burn a unit here. We don't need Wonder Drug for a while, so we're gonna burn Wonder Drug. So we don't come to regret that. But with them playing mono orange, as the game goes on, we should get into a pretty good position. Okay, so if you're ever playing control decks and you're down on health, I would not worry, because it's pretty... It's to be expected, shall we say, in terms of the way you play. You're a slower deck, shall we say? So you're almost expected to be a lot slower with it all. You're almost expected to be down on health. Now we're going to burn Vicious Cycle. We need card draw really, and play Meso Libre just here, and then swing to the face again. So we're almost expected to be behind. We're drawing 2 cards in 2 turns time. Yeah, not having any card draw come out is a little bit... Not finding a Mazer Yom has kind of hurt us. But we are playing orange, which are notoriously strong when it comes to card draw. It feels agile now. Okay, that doesn't really do much for us, no. Not really. We can play this here. I'm going to put a bulwark on... Oh, I can't put a bulwark on that, of course I can't. Play that there, and then... This doesn't have the overrun, so that's fine. We don't need to trade this because this will die. And then this has the overrun anyway. So, yeah. They trade into this now, it's fine. Otherwise, we trade into this, they're going to do 4 damage to this. So, they've got a decision to make at the moment. Okay, they're going to sit up exile. That's very interesting. On a Yahui. Okay, so we've got 7 damage to the face next turn, which is very good for us. We're drawing 2 cards now. And this is now getting to the area where we can get pretty strong. So, a Thunderclap would be great next turn, actually. A Jotun is good. Hyperborean is good as well, to be honest. At the moment, we don't need to burn any more cards yet. This is going to get the overrun and 6 damage to the face. And I think we just drop the Hyperborean here. And... go through with that, really. These can't get through the Hyperborean. They won't kill the Hyperborean. It has the overrun going on it. We're now getting into... This is what I mean by stalling out. We're stalling them out. So now they've had their kind of... their moment, their say. And now when we start getting to turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, we start getting incredibly strong. So we actually... we do have... No, not quite. We nearly have lethal next turn. Nearly have lethal next turn. Oh, 6 damage. Okay. So we're going to play the Bulwark here. To trade through. With the 2 overrun minions, we have lethal next turn. And we're going to ping this. And it's stunned, so we don't actually need to swing. We could swing. Do we just remove it? Yeah, let's just remove it. And then we're going to end turn there. In fact, we have Magnus next turn as well. It's pretty solid. But that's what I mean. Don't ever be afraid. If you're playing control decks, don't ever be worried that your deck is behind. You kind of play from behind. It's just the way it works. It's just the way it works, I'm afraid. We swing to the face there, and we do damage. I know we're playing the AI, but like I said, this deck is ideally a bit more expensive deck. The twins, braggy, cards like that can really help control games. But yeah, so don't ever be worried about playing from behind on a control deck. You want to be stalling them out. Getting to that kind of turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, then that's when you start winning. That's how control decks work. You need the mana normally to be able to start dictating their plays. And with a control deck, your placement is really, really important. Playing that when we did was actually the right play, because it meant that when Harvest went on there, look, it's an 8-2. It's huge. So, yes, that's that game. Let's move on to the next. Okay, our second from last list is a budget Valks list. Now, this list is very popular, or it was very popular when the game first launched, or when I was playing it in Alpha as well. And I mean, Valks as a backbone, as a tribal backbone, can be taken to Mithril. Like Tunestar was playing yellow-blue Valks in Mithril League and in Champions League, and was doing pretty well with it. Like the Valks can be a very good backbone with lots of different iterations being put on them. So this is what we're looking at here. It's pretty budget. It's 11,000 essence, and it's there are some key mythics it's missing, which I'll mention at the end. But what this offers here will definitely carry you through bronze, probably through mid silver if you wanted to play Valkyries. So you're effectively the main idea is your Valkyries are buffing your Valkyries. It's the same as any trouble deck. K9s buff K9s, Vampires buff Vampires, Valkyries buff Valkyries. In terms of tribal lists, Valkyries is probably the most competitive tribal list available in Mythgard at the moment. Maybe future sets will bring elves. Please bring elves. Please bring elves, guys. And we can make a cool elves list. Who knows? But anyway, for now, this is Valkyrie. So, 4 Frecky Scout, 3 Demolition Speedway, 4 Feigns, 2 Ice Spikes, 4 Valkyrie Tough, 2 Brainstorms, 2 Fosgrim, 2 Road Queens, 2 Storm Dottier's Chosen, 1 Kara Morning Wives, 2 Thunderclap, 3 Valkyrie Enforcers, 3 Blackened Jotun, 2 Giant Stairway, and Magnus Forsen, and Allfather's Horn, and as a little bit of spicy finishing fun, a Cataclysm. Now, this card doesn't have to be in there. You could change this if you want, but it's a bit of fun throwing it in there. Like I said, you got Frecky Scout is a Valkyrie. You got Valkyrie Tough, funny enough, is a Valkyrie. Road Queen is a Valkyrie. Storm Dot's Chosen Valkyrie. Kara is a Valkyrie. Valkyrie Enforcer is a Valkyrie. All those Valkyries buff off each other. So Kara Morning Wings isn't the best blue mythic, but in terms of playing her in this deck, she's solid. Every time your enemy plays a minion, you get 1/1 buff. Like, that's pretty huge. Then I'll also add on to Road Queen. All your Valkyries have 1/1 buffs anyway, so she can get really, really big. Storm Dot is Chosen. Whenever one of your Valkyries dies, you gain 1/1 buff. So it's all about your Valkyries buffing off each other, okay? Now, there is a key mythic you could play in this deck, but not everyone plays it in a Valkyrie list. And the upgrade that I would recommend first and foremost in this list would be Ygritte Storm Dottier. So she's Alpha Strike 5/5, but when you play her, return all Valkyrie cards in your Boneyard to your hand. She's your end game. So let's say with this list you can burn through your hand pretty quickly. Let's say you play her turn 9, and you got Kara, you got an Enforcer, you've got a Road Queen, and you've got a Frecky Scout in your Boneyard. All of those cards return to your hand. They don't return with Ephemeral, they just return to your hand. If they're there, you can play them again, which is massive. It's so huge. She has Alpha Strike already, so they must have anything over like with 5 or less health. Doesn't do any damage to her. She's super, super, super strong. It's a mono list, so having the 3 blue gems is fine. The only reason I didn't include her in this list is because I feel like Kara Morning Wings is a more playable. You're going to play her in a more regular basis in terms of you're going to get to your full mana a lot easier. And Magnus is just the best blue mythic in the game, and I would recommend him in any blue deck. That's what I do. If I was going to add another mythic in, Ingrid would be straight away in there as well. The other upgrades I'd recommend, there's 2 other upgrades I'd recommend. The other one will be Rider of Edda. So Rider of Edda is a 4/5 with Overrun. But whenever you create a Valkyrie, add a Feign to your hand. Now, it does have Ephemeral, but you just keep adding Feigns to your hand. You can just spam the board with Feigns. It's like... And Feign is a really annoying card to get rid of, considering it heals every time a minion dies. So they trade into one of your other Feigns. Oh, all your other Feigns fully go back to health if they need to. It's just very, very irritating to play against. And the other card, it's kind of getting a common occurrence now, Braggy. The reason a lot of times I've mentioned Braggy's a great upgrade, but he's not always in the starting deck is because he's a good support card. I would always play Magnus over Braggy when I'm building a budget deck, because Magnus is more of a proactive play. Magnus is more of a controlling play. Magnus is gonna clear board. It's gonna set up a threat for them to deal with. Braggy isn't always gonna be the right play. Normally Magnus on turn 5 is normally the play, or turn 6. Braggy isn't always going to be the play. There are times when Braggy coming out, you don't have any cards in hand. Well, drawing card and shuffling back in your deck might not be the best thing. There's nothing to give Frenzy to. So that's why I've always recommended Magnus over Bragi. But Bragi is also the other one here. So Riders, Rider of Eddar, Ingrid and Bragi are your upgrade options to make this a fully fledged Valkyrie list, a mono Valkyrie list. But also, take this list, guys, if you like Valkyries, and play around with putting red in it, we're putting purple in it, we're putting yellow in it, we're putting green in it. Like, just play around it, see how it feels. But anyway, enough of that. Let's jump over to some gameplay with mono Valks. Okay, Topaz Titan. Ooh, big threat here, big threat. I'm being an idiot because, again, it's only AI, and I'm fully aware it's AI. But hopefully you guys are getting the idea of what how the deck should be played, even though I'm only playing AI. But, okay, so Fane's going to be our turn 2 play. The only turn 1 play we have here is Freckly Scout. We have 2 Thunderclaps in hand. I don't always need 2 Thunderclaps. I'm going to keep the Giant Stairway because turn 5 will come around pretty quickly. And playing that on turn 5 under something like Valkyrie Tough and making a 6/6 on the board is pretty solid. Or under a Fane is really annoying because Fane goes to a 5/6. Deal with that. Deal with a 5/6 without it fully healing when it kills you. Pretty annoying. Wow, they discarded Wonder Drag. Sucks to be you. Well, there's nothing to Ice Spike, so we're going to burn the Ice Spike and we're going to play the Fane over here. Now, this deck is more... is mid-range aggro. I wouldn't say it was flat up burn aggro, but it can be very aggressive. By turn 4, you can get very aggressive. You can have Fanes out, you can have your Toughs out, you can have your Road Queens out, and you can start doing some serious damage. But it isn't like a... It's not like red. When we run by turn 5 with the red, I doubt we win by turn 5 this game. We have Fane again. We're running 4 Fanes, so I'm going to burn Fane. We don't need another Fane out at the moment. The question is, what do we play? Well, we're going to play Valkyrie Tough over here. Because it means what we can do next turn is we can play our Road Queen over here. And then when we swing with this, it's going to be a 4/4. It's fragile. It's on winter now. So it also means the 4/4 should survive. And yeah, so that should be fine now. We can play this next turn. We are slightly playing off curve in terms of playing a 3 mana card one and then 4 gems. But it's not the end of the world. Having this out is pretty important. It means when we play other cards, so we're going to get buffed up nicely. So the armor 2 here is going to be really... really annoying. We can get rid of it. I'm actually tempted to get rid of it rather than playing Road Queen. And to get rid of it, what we're going to do is we're going to play... I mean, Thunderclap doesn't do anything to it, which is annoying. So we're going to play Speedway. Because it means that these will trade. But it gets rid of that card, which can get annoying. And we do have 2 spare mana, which, yeah, it's a shame it wasn't 1 more turn later, but that's fine there. We can now play Road Queen next turn with... Depending what we draw. If we draw another Fane, Road Queen and Fane in the same turn is pretty good. This guy's annoying because... we have Kara. Probably play Kara now, to be honest, with the overrun. Yep. These can trade. And we can burn Enforcer. So they play a minion now. Kara will go to an 8/5 with overrun. So this is what I mean. This card here is normally always going to come out for you. It's a very, very strong card. They go 8/5. They're going to Vicious Cycle it. It's completely understandable. Demolition Speedway is pretty useless right now. But look at this. We have a huge hand advantage over them, which is really big for us right now. And yeah. So we... Oh, Father's Horn. Okay, we're going to keep that for now. 6 mana, 6 mana, 6 mana. There's not tons we can do, really. We're going to... So I'm going to play Valkyrie Enforcer and bump this back because it stops their card draw. No, that isn't necessarily the best play to play right there. We're going to burn Fosgrim because we don't need him now. So we now have the 6 mana. And we're going to pop this underneath her as well. So we now have 2 enchantments out. She's 4/2. We're going to play Valkyrie. We're going to play Road Queen next. And that's when we can start getting a bit cray-cray. Especially with Allfather's Horn. Which gives you a complete stand action to all your minions. And refreshes all of your mana. Yes, I said that. Mana and gems. That's fine. It's even more fun now. Okay, so we're going to burn Stairway now. We're going to play Road Queen over here. Just gets buffed. Play Thunderclap to mean they can't draw cards. This is overruns. Now we can start doing damage to face. This is what I mean. It's not as really an aggro deck. It can be aggressive. If you get the right card draw, it can be aggressive. But your mid game can be really strong. That's a good play by them. It's going to remove this next turn. It's going to remove this, and it's going to. This is going to stay alive, but it's. I mean, this dies next turn anyway. It's a free play to play Brainstorm right now. There's no cards on the board. It's very annoying, actually, that we can't play this. I think we actually burn All Father's Horn, you know. We can't burn the Ice Spike. Yeah, we're going to burn All Father's Horn and play this over here. Put some pressure on them. It doesn't make any difference. That would have died anyway because the Blight. But now we've got an 8-6 overrun on the board. Which is a little bit crazy. And in 2 turns time, we're drawing 2 cards as well. So, okay. Dotier is good. I'm going to Ice Spike this. We play this over here and we can swing to the face. And now we can start getting our game going, shall we say, with our okay, that's fine. We can remove this quite easily. It's not winter for us yet. No, we can play. So we can play this over here. Yep. And then we can swing through. It does. We trade this into it because we'd rather that die and then swing 8 to the face. Then we can play next turn Cataclysm for the win. Cataclysm does 5 damage to all enemy minions and both players. So we have the win with Cataclysm. Now this game was probably slightly longer than we'd expect with Valkyrie lists, but that's why like Hyperborean and Black and Jotuns are in this. Sorry, Hyperborean's not in this list. That's why Black and Jotuns are in this list, is purely for the fact that it gives you a bit more substance on your mid to late game, especially with these enchantments down. And then we just play Cataclysm, and it's game over. We watch the world burn, and that is game, people. So yes, this Valkyrie list isn't the most optimized. It doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but it does a little bit of everything pretty well. It's very much a jack of all trades, master of none. But yeah, it's definitely one you can play around with. And if you're new to the game and you want to get into playing around with some Valks, it's definitely a good starting point as like a backbone of what you can do with Valkyries. But yeah, that's Valkyries. Okay, let's go take a look at our final budget list. Okay, so our final budget list is a bit of a different one, and this is for those out there who want to try around and play around with something a little bit different. Now, this is an orange-purple mid-range list. Now, this was one that I built. I built like the optimized version a little while ago. I really like orange-purple as a color combination, and then people are asking about budget versions for it. So I played around with it quite a lot, and I managed to come up with this. And when I played it a little while ago, it was pretty solid. I've played this budget list at my rank in terms of gold, and it was winning games there. But it is a bit more tricky to play. There's a lot more thought process that has to go into playing it with some of the combinations and some of the cards on offer. So I'll go through the cards as always, and then we'll go on to actual upgrades and all that jazz. So Conviction, 1 Conviction, 4 Eager Recruits, 2 Dark Passage, 2 Ghouls, 2 Exian Recruiter, 3 Serendipity Eye Freak, 2 Parrot the Gates, best rare in the game, I'm going to say it again guys, 1 Scorn of Pride, which is a mythic, 2 Seed of Exile, 2 Temptations, and then 2 Cataphracts. Now if you're wondering why on earth you're playing Cataphract, purely because it's a cheap card. That's all it is. It's mid to late, it's like mid-game substance in a cheap card, which not having the mythics that you need really in this deck, that's the best substitute I could find. 3 Simzuan, 2 Impenetrative Bell, 2 Respawns, 2 Neo Gangdams, 2 Shinobi Smokes, 1 Balance, Pentacle of Flavors, 3 Tarragons, and 1 Baku Bogeyman. Now, this is very much a mid-range deck. By what I mean by mid-range is, it's not looking at controlling people, it's not looking at being aggressive, it's kind of doing a little bit of everything, okay? It offers control, it offers aggression, it offers mid-game, offers early game, offers late game. Your early game is going to be dropping your Eager Recruits, okay? Now, the reason we're running 2 Dark Passages, Eager Recruits obviously give you a Pass Recruit. 1-1, putting a Dark Passage on a 1-1 allows you to remove an enemy minion and draw a card off it for free mana. You can remove Hyperboreans, you can remove Black and Jotuns, you can remove Volcanic Risses with a 1-1. And that's where that comes in there. Conviction also gives Slayer free and Overrun, which can be set up for finisher, or it can just be set up for removal. Like, it would basically, Conviction on a Pass Recruit would make it do 4 damage to a minion's face. So it's a good trade, a very good trade to take. Ghoul is there, it's sustainability. Banishing minions in your opponent's graveyard for 1 mana, keeping him alive. It's a threat that kind of can get irritating and annoying. Xerian Recruit along with Parrot Gates your card draw. Serendipity I3 is just an incredibly good card for 3 mana. Scorn of Pride is possibly the best orange mythic. It's super strong. If you're going to craft if you've got 1 orange mythic wildcard to go spend, I'd say spend it straight away on Scorn of Pride. It's I think one of the best mythics in the game. Again, it's very solid. These are the 2 cards you take out straight away if you go for the upgrades I'm going to mention in a minute. Some Zuin is there to keep your big guys alive, keep your Cadfacts alive, keep your Tarragons alive, keep your Baku Bogeyman alive. Impenetrable Bell is an interesting card that not many people play. I kept it in there for the fact that I knew many people wouldn't play it, and it's kind of encouraging people to go play it. So, choose 1 minion without notifying opponents. If the chosen minion dies during your opponent's turn, sacrifice this, draw a card, and gain 2 mana. You may play a card. Basically, I mean, you choose one of your minions. If your opponent swings into that minion during their turn, then it stops, you draw a card, you gain 2 temporary mana. Then you don't have to spend that 2 temporary mana straight away. You can play a card. You don't have to play a card. You gained a card. It's card draw. You have 2 temporary mana going into next turn anyway. So if they do this on turn, if you place on curve, they destroy something on turn, their turn 3. Going into your turn 3, burn a card. You can play a 5. You can play Cataphract on turn 3. Like, you can. That's insane. You can put Pentacle on something. You can put a Tarragon out on turn 3, guys, with this card. So that's why it's in the deck. Respawn is a very interesting card. I want people to play around with more as well. Basically, let's say I put a Respawn on a Tarragon. They remove the Tarragon pops back down there. You get the Awoken ability as well, so you get another Pearl in hand. The only difference is it has Ephemeral, so they can bump back to hand to remove it. But it's very good sustainability. This deck builds on sustainability. Neo Gangdom is an enchantment that gives 1/1, but the minion is also warded. Shinobi Smoke is very good on Neo Gangdom because it doesn't take retaliatory damage when attacking. So it's a 4/3, 4 damage to their minions. Don't take any damage on your turn. Balance card draw. It's not the best card draw card in the game at all, and it can really screw you over. But if they've got minions out, don't be greedy with balance, guys. That's my biggest advice. Don't be greedy with balance. Do not think, they've got 2 minions on the board. I'll wait till next turn when they maybe have 3 or 4 minions on the board. It won't ever be the case. They've got 2 minions on the board. See it as a brainstorm. It's just a slightly more expensive brainstorm. Drawing 2 cards is fine. Drawing 3 cards is very good. Drawing 4 cards is bonkers crazy, okay? That's it. 2 cards is fine. It's not bad drawing 2 cards off this card. Pentacle of Flavors is there for a bit of spice. Tarragons and Baku Bogeymans, these are your kind of end games. Your Tarragons and Baku Bogeymans are very good end game, along with Cataphract as well. It's a very interesting deck to play. I love playing this deck. And yeah, upgrades. Before I jump over, upgrades, guys. Upgrades here. Now, you have various choices, but I would go with various choices being, you can go with To Heaven and Back. To Heaven and Back is a very good card. When occupying non-angel minion dies, return to the owner's hand. It is now an angel and gets 1/1 and agile. Its mana cost is reduced by 2 permanently. This deck is kind of all about getting into a mid to late game, okay? So it hasn't really got much aggro. It's about sustainability. Heaven and Back adds to the sustainability. You already have Respawn, it means minions stay around. You have Impenetrable Bell to give you extra mana, okay? You have Ghoul to kind of keep a minion on the board. Having something like a Shinobi Smoke come back as a 4/3 with Agile in your hand is even more sustainability. So Heaven and Back fits in very well in this deck. Another card you've got that fits in well is Lavish Proxy. Prevent the damage or loss of life that would reduce you below 1 health while this is in play. Basically means you can't die. Like, unless they suppress it, unless they remove Lavish Proxy, you can't die with this card on the board. Again, it's sustainability. You're grinding them out, okay? And it has regen too. That's another card. I'd recommend Heaven and Back over Lavish Proxy. But anyway, Heaven and Back is... Lavish Proxy is good. And obviously you have the crazy Armageddon Angel. She comes out at 7/7. Destroy all other minions. Is created for 1 more strength for every... each of your own minions you kill, and 1 less health for each of your opponent minions you kill. She normally comes out around an 8, 9... normally comes out around like an 8 or a 9 strength, and then more like a 5, 6 health. So she's pretty solid. She's good board removal. She's good control. All 3 of those would fit in this deck very nicely, but I mean, I play all 3 in my version of the deck. I also play Cashel, but then we're getting extremely expensive for new players. And the idea of this is a budget list. Purple, you've got a slew of ideas, a slew of options when it comes to mythics, and really fecking good mythics, okay? Misfortune, if you want to go down a real control route, give a minion fragile 3, demise, deals 2 damage to them. So let's say you pop this on a Black and Jotun. Black and Jotun's now got fragile 3. A 3 strength, one of your minions can trade into that Black and Jotun. The controller takes 2 damage to the face. And even better, Misfortune gets returned to your hand. You can play this card over and over and over and over again. It's crazy, crazy good. Rogue Eidolon. Blast 3, meaning you swing at a minion. The adjacent minions take 3 damage as well. Or adjacent lanes take 3 damage. The minion in the opposing lane has its strength locked to 0. It's just another good control card. They got a Black and Jotun on the board at 6 strength. Nope, it's now 0. It's got the 0 strength, 0 like thing on it. It's a very, very, very solid control card, which can go down the route there. It can add to sustainability. This deck's going for anyway. And that's the upgrades I'd recommend. Rogue Eidolon, Misfortune on the purple side. And then on the orange side, I would go first with Heaven and Back. And then start looking at Lavish Proxy and Armageddon Angel. What order you play those in your deck or prioritise those is entirely up to you. You want to go with control, maybe Armageddon Angel because she's like removing the board. If you want to go with kind of longevity, sustainability, Lavish Proxy. It's entirely down to you and what one you'll prefer. Don't overlook Cashel. She's very good. But I would look at these 2 over Cashel first. Anyway, let's jump into some gameplay with our final deck. Okay, Glacial Crush. So this is our final game. Our final deck, deck that we made to look at. You can see straight away, like we don't really have a huge early game with this deck. So when you start kind of building for our late game, Seal of Exile is a card we're very rarely playing on curve. It's not very good on curve because it really puts you behind. So we're going to burn that first. The reason we're burning an orange first as well is because we know, or I know, we're playing 4 Eager Recruits. We need an orange gem there. It means I haven't got to burn anything later on. So Eager Recruit, if we draw an Eager Recruit next turn, I can play it. Also, if we don't, then it means I've started setting up my gems for Dark Passage. Okay, Pair of the Gates. Not ideal, because we still don't have a turn to play. What we're going to burn now is going to burn Balance. Balance is a card draw, but we're way off playing Balance yet. And now we've balanced our gems out as well. So we've got 1 orange, 1 purple in the deck. And it's fine. Like I said, this deck, it's more mid to late game. It doesn't have an insanely strong late game because... the insanely strong late game comes from the expensive mythics, I'm afraid. But this version that I'm playing now is perfectly fine and can still carry you a long way. There you go. There's our Eager Recruit, which is kind of what we wanted. So we're going to burn Califract because Terragon will probably be our turn 5 play there. Means you can play Parry next turn because we have the 2 orange gems set up now. I'm going to drop an Eager Recruit just here. We're going to drop her little friend, the Passer Recruit, over here. Now we have Deadly Dark Passage to play next turn. So if they play anything over here next turn, with a 1/1 can trade into it. We can draw a card off it, and we can kill it. This is fragile, so it's going to trade into this anyway. So there's no point trying to play it here. Oh, gone for the cheeky Ice Spike. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Ghoul is going to be pretty tasty over here, isn't it? It's not going to kill it, though. What's the annoyance there, isn't it? Yes. I think we'll try and play Perry, to be honest. And I think we're going to burn an orange here. We're going to burn Exerium. We're going to burn Ghoul. We're going to burn the Ghoul to play the Perry. Just here. This is going to give us card draw, which gives us options, and options in this game are always very good. Or take score and a pride, thank you very much. We're going to trade one to the face, and that'll do for now. Yeah, this will then this can trade if it wants to next turn. It doesn't have any regen on it or anything like that, but it'll get down to 1 health, which is fine. Ice Spike again. Okay, so this is actually working out well for us because their hand size is depleting at a rapid pace. Which is nice for us. So they're going to bring this over, which is going to be... They're not going to bring it over. They just wanted to... Okay, so we're now going to... We have... So it's Winter now. We're way off burning. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to give them the free damage. I know it sounds a little cray-cray, but bear with me. We need to burn purple. Actually, so we can play Tarragon. So burn Shinobi of the Smoke. And we're going to play Tarragon over here, which is a big card to be getting out. Trade here. This, even with the Fragile, it won't play into it. We have huge hand advantage. We'll probably burn Ifrit next turn. The Divination's great. The fact that we're down to 13 health and the taking the damage of cards is scary. This doesn't have armor, which is nice because it means we can play Dark Passage onto the 1/1 and remove it basically. So, do we play? No, we can keep the Conviction. So, we're going to play Dark Passage onto this. Now, the reason we haven't burnt a card yet is because Dark Passage is going to give us a card draw. So now, there you go. We've got 2 Ifrit. So, burning the Ifrit is the correct play there. We can actually play an Ifrit over here now for 3 mana. Set the Divination up. We'll take Pentacle because that's very strong. I'm going to put this on here to get the overrun. I'm going to swing through. And now we are in a pretty tasty position. We have 10 damage on the board. We have Pentacle of Flavors arriving next turn. We have Seal of Exile to remove anything that they play out. We have card advantage over them as well. So we're starting to get into that sustainability, what I was on about. That. Okay, they're going to bump that to hand, which is basically means we lose the Pearl on it. So it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Now what we can do is we can actually impale this over, play Pentacle of Flavors on it, trade here, and we'll remove it with the blast damage. And we can burn, I'm pretty sure we can burn the Conviction here. And we're up to 7 mana. You kind of want to keep burning cards with this deck. You want the mana to keep going. So this now has armor 1, has regen 2. So this is fine because the blast damage with the Fragile is going to trade here. So it's going to be super strong. We have 2 Seal of Exile, so we can burn this seal. We are really 6 damage there. So we'll trade that there. We're going to play the Ghoul here because it will just block this. It will trade, which is fine. And then we're going to set a Tarragon up nice and wide. Yeah, set a Tarragon up nice and wide. And there we go. So we're now in a pretty good position. The 3/1 trades into the 2/3. Again, the orange allows us to have card advantage. That's fine because it trades in. We can... Okay, they're going to vicious cycle it. Interesting. What we can do is we can pelvis over, trade into this, and it will remove both cards because of the Pentacle of Flavors. We actually can 4 damage. Not quite lethal. Not quite. So we're going to impale this over. Oh, it's 8 damage actually. So it makes sense to put the overrun on this. And we swing through that to get the 8 damage to face. Remove all that there. And we don't have any way of... Not really, no. Conviction would be good now, wouldn't it, eh? No, it only works on Slayer, so Conviction wouldn't actually work. We can trade this to face. And no cards in hand. We need to protect over here, so we're going to play Scoring a Pride over here, which will help us set up the... there, we can burn Dark Passage, and we can end turn, and this is going to regen free. Yes, so playing the Serendipity Ifrit was a risque play, but hey ho, we got off with it, and it worked for us, putting a Pentaclon there. Wow. There you go. And that's what I mean by this deck here is not great early game, but can really build up, and the sustainability it offers is beautiful. But yes, people. Yes, that is it. That is it. That's this video wrapped up. Hopefully you found it helpful. This one is very much aimed at brand spanking new players who are looking for decks to kind of get their head around. All these decks, they kind of, I suppose they kind of go in complexity up the scale in terms of, we're saying that Valks is pretty simple, but in terms of like red, blue is very simple to play. Mono red's pretty easy to play. Then probably Valkyries because you've got a bit more mid-game thought process to go on with. Yellow, blue isn't easy to play because you need to really be thinking about the control decisions you need to be making. I mean, this is probably the most challenging deck to play in this list I've put out because you have lots of decision making to go on there. Orange gives you options with card draw. Options require decisions. So, but yeah, guys, that is going to wrap this video up. If you liked it, then let me know by hitting that like button below. I'm happy to be back making content. Like I said, the next next new to Mythgard video is going to be based on lane placement, and then we're going to be looking at advanced kind of mid-game tactics. So looking at situations, we're going to be breaking down 3 or 4 different situations what I've recorded where like through mid-game decisions I've made that either led to my win or led to my loss. And we're going to kind of go through that together so you can try and help you with how you work out your mid-game, setting up your late game. But anyway, that is it, guys. Thanks, as always, for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I am available on Twitch. I do stream over on Twitch. The link is in the description below. So if you want to check that out, then make sure you do. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you guys are. I've said it twice now. And goodbye. That's it. Goodbye.